These 4 posts have hundreds of millions of views between them. The fireworks at the World Cup final with Argentina's colors, Messi assaulting an Egyptian player caught on camera with no card given, the New York Post saying he's a sore loser, and finally facing the music, and a leaked email proving that football pages were being paid to attack Messi and Argentina. Now rewind 4 years. In December 2022, this man lifted the World Cup and the entire planet celebrated. Brazilians, Englishmen, people who hated Argentina their whole lives. For one night, football agreed on something, which basically never happens. It felt like the perfect ending to one of the greatest careers the sport has ever seen. 4 years later, that same player is the villain. Same guy, same football, and mostly the same squad, largely the same officiating. So we have to ask ourselves, what actually changed? In 2022, criticism of Messi existed. It always has. He's not a saint, and this video is not going to sell you one. But the dominant agenda, the version of Messi your feed and For You page showed you if you never searched for him, were the legend edits, posts about him finally getting his final Thanos stone. The little kid from Rosario finishing the story. In 2026, the dominant agenda is the villain edit. Protected, handed trophies, and a fraud propped up by FIFA and Gianni Infantino. Here's the uncomfortable part. Between those two versions, almost nothing on the pitch changed. The officiating is largely the same. The squad is mostly the same players. Messi is still the same guy playing the same football. Almost every variable stayed constant, and yet public opinion completely flipped. The only thing that really changed was the distribution layer, the algorithms deciding which version of Messi gets shown to billions of people, and somewhere in that machinery, a decision got made, not by a person, but by engagement math. Messi didn't need to become more corrupt, the villain edit just needed to outperform the legend edit. And this cycle, it did. I've watched football my whole life. So when my friends who couldn't name a single midfielder all started hating Messi in the same 2-week window, I recognized the shape of that, because I've seen what it looks like from the inside. This is how it works. Here's the thing nobody selling you a conspiracy will admit. These campaigns almost never start with a lie. They start with something real. After Argentina lost the final to Spain, there was real defensible criticism. The conduct after the final whistle, the brawl, fights, players skipping media duties, and all around a big mess. That happened, and criticizing it is fair. Argentina's post-match behavior is a real story that to anyone watching football wasn't nice to see. But this is where things get serious. The New York Post ran with it. Sore loser Argentina turned their backs on Spain. Messi finally facing the music. I mean, somebody can try to explain to me what does facing the music mean here? What did he do for such a blatant statement? Notice what happened there. A real event, a bad post-match conduct became a character verdict. It wasn't Argentina behaved badly last night, but this is who they fundamentally are. Even though Messi congratulated Spain, congratulated Lamine Yamal, and put out a message afterward. That part doesn't make the headline, because that part doesn't sell. That's step 1, and it's important. This isn't a fake account, this is a major newspaper. Propaganda doesn't start in the gutter, it starts in the mainstream, with loaded framing on true events. Step 2, real footage, wrong event. And from that, it just continued. Messi being called a Zionist, clips of Gianni Infantino looking distressed going viral, captioned as his reaction to Egypt scoring against Argentina, or Messi missing a penalty. The face is real, the panic is real, but the match is wrong. The footage comes from entirely different games. One viral post even has him making a desperate phone call when Argentina went 2-0 down against Egypt, while he was, verifiably, watching Switzerland against Colombia in Vancouver, thousands of kilometers away on that same exact clip. And the thing is, there are always going to be posts like this. But what changed is that the algorithm started rewarding them, showing them to millions, attracting thousands of likes, and every casual fan had their mind shaped around something that is completely false. Step 3. Real photo, cropped context. A photo circulates. Referee Ismail Elfath, before a match, apparently asking Messi for a photograph. A referee fanboying over the player he's supposed to officiate. And if we uncrop the image, we see that it's from 2022, and standing right there, cut out of frame, is Hugo Lloris. The picture is real, yet the story was created with a crop. Step 4. A real rule reframed as a conspiracy. When a VAR protocol gets applied in an Argentina match, a post gets nearly 1 million views claiming FIFA invented a new rule to protect them. The rule existed before. It's a mistaken identity protocol, and it had already been used earlier in the same tournament. In fact, in the match where USA played Paraguay. Nobody checked because by now checking isn't the point. Step 5. Evidence that never existed at all. And then we crossed a line the previous steps only walked toward. A clip that got around 8 million views on a single repost spread around like a disease, showing Messi in an ugly incident with a Spanish player. Here's the problem. The incident never happened. Not in the Argentina-Spanish match, not in any match. And even if it's not visible to the straight eye in some weird case, the number 10 is worn by Dani Olmo, not the guy in the video. It's not a misleading angle of a real moment, it is a completely AI-generated scene. Watch the ball, watch the bodies, and figure out for yourself if the physics work like that. Luckily, for this one we had community notes. The previous steps distorted reality, while this one manufactured it. And finally, step 6. The fireworks. And finally, the master conspiracy artifact. A recording of the finals closing ceremony where the fireworks glow Argentine blue, getting 15 million views and presented as proof FIFA had pre-prepared an Argentina celebration that the result was written in advance. However, when we pull up other recordings of the same ceremony, suddenly it's white fireworks, lighting, white balance, and screen recording a screen can all shift color. But the point stands. Millions of people believed it, sent it to their friends, and called Argentina cheats, not because they cheated, but because they saw a fake blue firework clip online. Look at that ladder. No single step feels insane from the step before it. Each post makes the previous claim a little more visual, a little more certain. By the end, 7 different fabrications are all pointing at the same conclusion. And to someone scrolling, they don't look like 7 separate lies, they look like 7 independent pieces of evidence. That's not an accident, that's the mechanism. And then the algorithm takes over. Thousands of versions of each claim compete for attention. The angriest ones survive. Everything else disappears. The surviving clips stop feeling like isolated moments and start becoming talking points. Then common knowledge. That's how my friends who don't watch football all learned to hate Messi in the same week. However, it doesn't end here. And then, mid-tournament, the story ate itself. An email leaked. An agency called PR360 Sports allegedly offering football pages money and visibility to push anti-Argentina, anti-Messi narratives. Finally, proof that the hate wasn't organic. Someone was paying for it. The first version hit 1.4 million views, and the most viral version? 7 million. There's just one problem. Fact-checkers at Chequeado dug in. The agency had no credible history before the posts appeared. The domain was registered after the first viral post, and the company's website was born after its own leak. Multiple accounts posted the same screenshot with identical text and timestamps, and even several of the biggest amplifiers were parody pages sponsored by betting companies. And some versions went further, naming the culprit as Cristiano Ronaldo's PR team with 0 supporting evidence. Because if you're going to invent a villain for Messi's story, the internet already has one pre-installed. Sit with the irony for a second. The viral proof that the anti-Messi campaign was paid propaganda is itself unverified and likely fabricated. It spread for the exact same reason the anti-Messi content spread. The audience was already prepared for you to believe it. Millions of people who spent weeks sharing fake evidence against Messi and millions who shared fake evidence defending him were running on the same fuel. These were the exact same accounts baiting for engagement to make a few extra bucks off the Twitter revenue. Now, does that mean paid campaigns in football are fantasy? No, and this is where it gets uncomfortable. Because something like this already happened to this exact player, and there was a police raid about it. In Barçagate, FC Barcelona confirmed a police search connected to social media monitoring contracts, and the investigation examined whether profiles linked to a company called L3 Ventures had been attacking the club's own rivals and figures, including Messi. His own club allegedly ran accounts against its own captain. To be clear about what this proves and what it doesn't, Barçagate does not authenticate the PR360 email. It doesn't tell us who or if anyone funds the current wave. What it establishes is much simpler and worse. Organized reputation operations in football are not a paranoid fantasy. They're a documented, police raid-level reality. Coordinated narrative campaigns are a normal line item. Content calendars, editing teams, creator networks, seeded talking points. This is how products launch and how tokens pump, how reputations get built and destroyed. And our beautiful game was never exempt. Here's the part that should actually worry you because it's not about Messi, it's about you. The first post feels like an accusation, the 5th feels like a pattern, and the 20th feels like a memory. Eventually, you don't remember which claim was verified and which was just repeated. It stops feeling like something you were told and starts feeling like something you always knew. That's not a metaphor, it's one of the most consistently replicated findings in psychology. Psychologists call it the illusory truth effect. Seeing a claim even once makes people more likely to judge it as true later, even when it's false. The effect lasts for days and survives fact-check labels. It shows up even when the claim contradicts things you already know. A 2026 meta-analysis across the entire literature found the repetition effect robust everywhere they looked. And the platforms feeding you those repetitions have a bias problem. MIT researchers tracked roughly 126,000 claims shared by about 3 million people on Twitter over 11 years. Across every category, false stories spread farther, faster, deeper, and more broadly than true ones. Falsehoods were 70% more likely to be retweeted, and the truth took about 6 times longer to reach 1,500 people. Not because bots are evil, because outrage, conflict, and surprise are simply better at capturing attention than the truth itself. The system isn't broken, it is optimizing for highest reach, engagement, likes, and eventually the most money. Do you understand what this means? The feed doesn't need one perfect lie, it just needs one interpretation to become more familiar than every competing explanation. Back in 1922, over a century ago, Walter Lippmann argued that people don't respond to reality, they respond to the pictures in their heads. He was only writing about newspapers, but today it works the same way as the pictures are 15-second clips selected by an algorithm 20 times a day. Now, here's what makes the Messi case genuinely fascinating and genuinely disturbing. Football is one of the most documented activities on Earth. Full matches, multiple broadcast angles, official reports, and more than 20 years of footage are sitting online for free, which means every single claim in this video was checkable in minutes, if not seconds. The fireworks? Compare recordings across broadcasts and phones. The AI incident? No matching sequence exists in any broadcast or archive because the scene never happened. The Infantino reactions? Traceable to earlier matches. The referee photo? Uncrop it. The new VAR rule? Read the protocol. Watch it being used weeks earlier. The PR360 email? Check the domain registration date. Every claim checkable in under a minute, and yet the narrative still beats the evidence. That sentence is the whole video. Messi is arguably the most documented footballer in history, protected by 20 years of footage, and it still wasn't enough. Because here's what propaganda actually does. The real Messi is neither the flawless saint sold to you in 2022, nor the calculating fraud presented to you in 2026. Both are edits. Both were built by deleting every moment that didn't fit, and every congratulation to Spain deleted from the villain edit, every genuine controversy deleted from the saint edit, until a simpler character emerged. The lie is usually not inside one clip. The lie is the character created when only one category of clip survives. And if that can happen to the most filmed athlete alive, think about where else this playbook runs. Politics, wars, markets, health, areas where there is no 20-year archive, where you can't pull up the full match, where the narrative isn't competing with the evidence, the narrative is the only version you'll ever see. Which brings us back to this, to the incident that never happened. I want you to understand why this one is different from everything else in this video. Everything used to be expensive. Running a narrative at scale meant studios, editors, media buys, distribution relationships. That's why this playbook historically belonged to governments and large corporations. The cost was the barrier. NewsGuard counted 49 AI-generated news sites in May 2023. By December that year, 614. Today, they track more than 3,000 AI content farms, with hundreds more appearing every month. Throughout this World Cup, AI-generated images and videos circulated every single day, thousands of times. Fake reaction shots, fabricated quotes, and synthetic photographs. They don't just spread individually, they reinforce each other. A fake image confirms a fake quote confirms a fake clip, and together they simulate an entire media ecosystem that doesn't exist. The campaign no longer needs to distort a real incident. It can manufacture a fictional one and present it as broadcast footage. What used to require editors, media relationships, and a creator network can now be produced by one account before most viewers find the full replay. Corrections, meanwhile, still run at human speed. Finding sources, locating full footage, and checking timestamps won't and can't be done by AI yet. The lie ships in minutes, while the truth takes days, and the MIT numbers already told you who wins that race. What took years can now happen in weeks, soon, probably days. So, was there a coordinated campaign against Messi? Some shadowy agency, a rival's PR team, a boardroom deciding to destroy him? Honestly, the evidence doesn't prove that. And I'm not going to do to someone else what this video just spent 20 minutes documenting. But here's the darker answer. It didn't need one. Real controversy created the demand, and algorithms selected the most emotional explanation. Creators copied whatever got them the most likes, and when reality wasn't dramatic enough, AI supplied the evidence. There was no mastermind required, just a system where everyone gets paid an attention for producing the same story. The system that was supposed to show us more football instead rewarded the most useful fictional version of a footballer. Messi will be fine. He has every trophy that matters and 2 decades of footage behind him. 20 years from now, nobody will remember a cropped photo from 2026. What worries me is everything else. Because if the internet can flip the reputation of the most documented footballer in history, a man protected by 20 years of tape in a span of 4 weeks, 1 World Cup, imagine what it does to stories where there is no footage at all.